So it is a jumpstart for coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs. Anyone that is thinking, what is going on with all this AI stuff, and should I be part of it, and why? And I'm going to tell you exactly why that is the case, why you should be part of it. Because I started off skeptical about this whole deal. When I first started hearing about ChatGPT, it was kind of like, oh, heck no, not doing any of that. And what's really kind of ironic is my son, I mentioned he went to MIT, he was in a media lab, like, many years ago now, but it was about AI. And he ended up doing a project called Alpha Wolf, and they were creating this AI generated wolf, and it ended up in Forbes, and it ended up getting news coverage. He was on PBS, and it was like, well, this AI thing is very interesting. Yes, it's interesting, but I just did not see how it related to me. Maybe some of you have felt like that too. How does this relate to me? And also just not feeling like I was techie at all, any of those things. And so, first of all, I want to reassure you that if you have felt that way, you're not alone, and that this is a new development for me as well. But the thing is, I'm a curious person, and I also, if I'm going to decide on something, I want to investigate it myself. And so I started fiddling around when it first came out. At the very beginning, very, very end of 2022, but really beginning of 2023. And the more I messed with it, the more I was just like, I just went from skepticism to awestruck. I started saying things like, this is blowing my mind. I hadn't said that since, I don't know, the 60s, So, and I hear that a lot now, people saying that. So maybe if you feel like that too, we'll see. So my intention today is that you're going to discover how ChatGPT works, at least at my level of explanation. I'm not a techie person. I'm not a programmer or anything like that. But how in our real world of regular folks like you and me, why you should use it in your business, and in some ways that you can use it. We're going to learn how to use it in some surprising and innovative ways, because this is what compresses time. When I say that, it's like getting things done faster, getting things done more effectively, more efficiently, so you have more time to enjoy other parts of your life and not spending all your time entrenched in a business, right? And gaining clarity on how you do create that business that resonates with your values, your aspirations, your voice, right? Your message, with the help of ChatGPT. Now, my request of you today, and one of attendee at one of my events sent this to me a while back, and I've just always thought it was funny because their cat started watching what I was presenting. So even the cat was paying attention. So I'm inviting you, the goldfish, the cat, whatever, that you close out your distractions just for the next hour or so, because I've got so much to cover. I'm going to have to go fast here, but really commit to the training, because you are going to learn some things today. And you might want to take a couple notes along the way on some of the things I'm going to share with you about ChatGPT. And again, I'm Tina Lorenz. I'm your host, your guide, your ChatGPT whisperer. I'm known as the legendary queen of copy, thanks to Frank Kern, who dubbed me that. For those of you that are new to my world, I've been on my own since I was 17. No college, no degree, no special training. Was on my own in Seattle at the age of 17, and spent years hustling just to make a living, right? Just to survive. I was divorced after an 18-year marriage. Kind of did some of the typical things. I had a rocky marriage, was very tumultuous, didn't have the greatest upbringing, which is why I was on my own at 17 in Seattle. But then things got pretty darn serious, because I was nearly murdered in a domestic violence event. It was a one-time event. That's all it took. Nearly took my life. I saved myself and my children, and we lost every material possession. We were actually living on a yacht in Seattle at the time, and I became homeless. I had to go to a shelter with my daughter. My son had to be farmed out to friends because he was a young man, and I was not able to take him to the shelter with me. Eventually, I met Ron, my husband, my champion, my protector, all of those things. After this event, he happens to be legally blind, so we started right out of the gate with some challenges of how we would navigate life together. And we moved to another state. This all happened in Washington State. We moved to Oregon to be safe, but turns out we weren't. We ended up being stalked by this perpetrator, and that's when we hit the road in an RV. And my RV life, a lot of you know that I'm very connected to the RV lifestyle. Well, it started out of that. That was the reason. That's how we began, was just to get on the move. And I took my daughter out of school. She started college after a junior year of high school. We did a lot of things just to stay safe. So during that time, though, we had to figure out how we were going to make a living. And so we started doing promotional tours. I discovered this thing where we could do this from an RV, and I also started selling face-to-face. Eventually got worn down by that, big setups, hauling stuff around, all the things. So we had to find something new. And I read an article about copywriting the art of writing copy, the writing part, it's not copyright as intellectual property, and made a decision to become a freelance copywriter. That was back in September of 2004. I've been at it ever since. And the big thing that happened then was went from scrapping and barely having two nickels rubbed together to making $500,000 in my first year. I can assure you, no one was more shocked than me. Now, why should you care about my story? Well, it's because number one, I was already past 50 when I did this. I discovered I had a unique ability, just like you do. I call it your divine assignment. I learned one skill, one key skill, one foundational skill, and against all odds, turned that into a thriving business. And that's why I say copywriting is the most important skill you could learn. And you need it to really understand how to communicate effectively with ChatGPT. All of these things are connected. And so since then, I've done multiple seven figures over the past 19 years. Definitely have made a lot of people multimillionaires that I've worked with. And nothing was wasted, though, from that previous experience. And that's why I know that you can be whatever you decide to become, too. You can become that no matter what. It's not too late. It's not too late to learn a new skill, not too late to step into your divinely gifted abilities, your power, create a thriving business, or grow a thriving business maybe you already have and you want to scale it. So today I've been creating online success and freelance copywriting and marketing strategy and mindset shifting, as I said, for over 19 years now. I've taught more than 1,000 students how to turn their words into money as well. I love doing that. Still doing that today, because today I help experienced professionals and entrepreneurs leverage your knowledge and your wisdom. Your wisdom is your wealth, and to turn it into soul-aligned businesses, or create a more soul-aligned business if you already have one and you're kind of like not the happiest with it right this minute. I've developed a transformational system that involves neuroscience of success, how we think, how our minds work, proven marketing strategies, plenty of those, the art and science of ChatGPT, which is new into the mix and surprised me as well, and the spiritual core of divine guidance. I think all this comes from a divine source. And it's transformation of your core identity from the inside out that really makes the difference with all of these other things, and it's never too late. I'm going to talk about the what and the why of ChatGPT. Okay, so here's the thing. Before we go any further with it, my view on ChatGPT is a little different from a lot of the guru people that are teaching ChatGPT every which way and buy my cans of prompts and 400 volumes of this and that and the other. Because what I see ChatGPT as is it's the culmination of other individuals' divine assignment that have come together to create this amazing technology and to expand it and give us a voice with it, with being able to use it and access to it. Because what I really see ChatGPT as, if you're thinking, oh, it's robotic and it's so impersonal, not really. When you really understand how to work with it, I see it as a reflection of the best of us. I see it as kind of the ultimate inner selfie, because when you're using ChatGPT effectively, it is an expansion of you. We come first. Our thoughts, our imagination, our creativity, our discernment for where we want to go with our messaging and why we're using it in the first place, that's what comes first, and we lead the way, and ChatGPT is there to support us and help us expand on that. That technology is there that I believe comes ultimately from a divine source as well. And so I see a lot of things that we can call AI, artificial intelligence. Well, what about ancestral intelligence that's built into us, that wisdom that it's like almost like epigenetics, like built into us over generations, that we have access to that wisdom. Amplified imagination, right? That it's our imaginations that'll lead the way with this, that you don't have to have the technical jargon. You have to have the imagination to be thinking about where you want to go with this and what could I do with this, because you're really only limited by that. Okay, your own imagination. Accelerated insights, another AI, to be able to use ChatGPT to understand more deeply your ideal audience, your ideal clients, your dream clients even, and what is it that they're thinking about? Where are they hanging out? What kinds of things are they concerned about? How can we market more effectively, but more than that, message more effectively, so you automatically attract people to you that are your ideal clients? That's the goal here. One of them, one of many. And so the what and the why of it, is that resonating with any of you? Like, what does it kind of reassure you that it's like, this isn't just about just like, computer programming. It's more than that. And actually, there's a statistic I just read this last week, some studies that were done, that ChatGPT will actually perform better, not just ChatGPT, but AI in general, when we treat it nicely. Think about that one for a while, because they have actually tracked this, and even like in mathematics, in formulas, it had more effectiveness and efficiency in its answers when it was talked to, so to speak, nicely. we can all think on that one for a while, right? And so yes, we can say that it is resonating, and I hope that it's reassuring you already about what's possible. So I want you to think of ChatGPT. Now I'll go on track here with my slide, but as a trusted collaborator in your world of copywriting and messaging and your marketing. It is more than just writing the words; it's the thinking. And I actually find that I use it more for all of those things than writing the words in a lot of ways. Yep, and I always say please and thank you, Helen says, and that I'm going to talk about that. That's exactly right. And so it's here to make your life easier, make your business more successful, be able to find new depths. And my goal for myself and for those I work with is work less, make more. And ChatGPT can help us do that because it speeds up a lot of the processes of what we're doing. So what's behind ChatGPT? What is this whole thing all about? Well, there are two techie terms. We're just going to briefly visit these. One is large language model. You hear that LLM. You may see that written out like that. And also generative AI, generate something, right? The artificial intelligence is built into it. So a large language model, the way to think of this is like a super smart library. It's read everything from Shakespeare to your favorite blogs, and it's even more updated in this past year, all the way up into 2023, and before it stopped at the end of 2022. So it's continually learning and getting more knowledge that it can share with us. That's the large language model part. And the generative AI part is the engine. It's the engine that makes it talk, and literally ChatGPT can talk. It takes what large language model knows and mixes and matches it all up into the knowledge that's going to assist you. Now, it's not creative. You are. Okay, ChatGPT isn't going to go off on a tangent of, oh, I have an idea for you today, Dina. But we instill that. We lead the way with the creativity. And when we do that, then it gets very resourceful. Perfect for giving you a head start so you can write faster, write smarter, write better. These are the combinations of things that make ChatGPT your secret weapon. Now, ChatGPT is also just referred to in general as AI, artificial intelligence, but I focus mostly on ChatGPT. I do use other tools, so I'm not going to be able to answer a zillion questions about all the other things because I kind of think of ChatGPT. Do any of you like to shop at Target? The colorful store, the happy place. I think of ChatGPT kind of like Target. It's one-stop shopping because there's so many new developments coming and things that have been added to it already since its first inception. And Teresa says she has experienced that ChatGPT gets friendlier and more helpful. Someone else told me that yesterday, that when they were kind of abrupt, like they were in a hurry, just give me the answer, they felt like they did not get as effective as an answer. And when they took their time, literally you can tell ChatGPT, just take a minute, just kind of it's okay to take a minute, and it'll actually slow down a little bit. And Teresa's saying she experienced that. And it's not your imagination. They've actually found that this is a real thing. So the how-to of ChatGPT, so you get that, it's tech smart, right? But how do you talk to it? Well, first of all, we've already said to talk to it nicely, okay? That's the first thing. But it's really simple. They're called prompts. You've probably heard people speaking about prompts. It's really specific and intentional prompts, which really is just a conversation. Think of it as just talking, right? We don't have to have fancy language. So the first thing you're going to do is be clear with what you're saying to ChatGPT. Now, think of what you really want to achieve. What's the answer that what are you asking? And the more specific you are, the better the output. So for example, if you were to say, write me a headline about eco-friendly cars, and this is just a really, really simple example, it'll get you more though than you would with write a headline, right? It just makes sense. Well, it could be write a headline. Okay, write a headline about cars. Okay, write a headline about eco-friendly cars. Okay, write a headline about eco-friendly cars that have room for a car seat in the back for the baby. The more expansive you get, the more you're giving ChatGPT to work with. And that's the context, right? There's a term in programming that I didn't know until I started learning all this myself, but garbage in, garbage out, right? And that I knew it, but not in that specific terminology. But if it doesn't have anything great to work with, you're not going to get anything great out the other side. It can't create something more. It's kind of like energetics. We can't create a high energy result from a low energy source like electricity, right? And so all of these things, it just makes sense. So the more we are clear, even if you don't say it elegantly, but you have an idea that you're able to communicate, ChatGPT can take that and can kind of understand what it is you meant and extrapolate out for you. The second one is be natural, okay? It understands conversational language. That's the beauty of this. We don't have to have any kind of technical jargon, any specific terminology. It just gets it. Matter of fact, I often find that when I'm just writing a prompt just off the top of my head, but because it's conversation, so you're just writing, it's not necessarily copying a prompt. I'll misspell a word or I'll have typos, but ChatGPT is like, yeah, I got it. It doesn't correct me or anything like that. It just understands what I meant and keeps on going. So you don't have to have robotic commands. Just ask as you would from a real life collaborator. Like, hey, ChatGPT, could you help me out with this? Here's what I'm thinking about. And you can just write it out, right? Just write it out. Things I'm going to show you today, you need to have the paid level. Now listen, it's $20 a month US, okay? It's the most reasonable investment you can make in your business. Whatever it is you might be doing, maybe you're teaching, maybe you're working in a job, maybe you're entrepreneurial, I don't know, maybe you're a coach, but whatever you're doing, if you want to use ChatGPT to the highest level, you really need the plus, because there's certain things that aren't going to work in the free. For one thing, that's 3.5, and it's slower, it's clunkier. ChatGPT 4, ChatGPT Plus, it's also been referred to by OpenAI as Turbo, all of that. It has more built into it. It's faster. It is more, quote, thoughtful. It gives more in-depth answers, and it's multimodal now. They've built in all these other aspects to it as well. So I am absolutely going to recommend. And so you don't have to have the robotic commands, and I do recommend that you have the paid level. I don't make a nickel off of you getting the paid level, but I just recommend. They actually closed it down for a while after November 6th when they did a whole lot of upgrading to ChatGPT. OpenAI had to close it down because they were just so bombarded with people wanting in that for a while you could not join. And I've been saying all last year, get the paid level, get the paid level, get the paid level. So, and the third thing on your prompts then is test and tweak. What do I mean by that? What do I mean is that the first prompt might not be a home run. You might not really get what you wanted. Sometimes ChatGPT bogs down. It was doing that yesterday to me. I was like, come on, what are you doing? Or I had to keep on asking, I had to regenerate. It was not processing, and it just kind of gets overwhelmed sometimes. But feel free to ask ChatGPT to revise, rephrase, elaborate, take it another step. The model is learning from your input. It's learning about you from your input of what it is you're looking for. And it's endlessly patient. It is never going to give you an eye roll, an eyebrow raise, a sigh, any of those things. No judgments, no attitude. Don't be shy about asking it to tweak, asking it down to the tiniest detail. It's happy to do it. If you have to go through 5 iterations to get there, that's okay. In essence, the language of ChatGPT is your language, the way we all talk, right? So speak clearly, written, or you can actually do verbal on your phone. Naturally, watch how this tool amplifies your creative efforts. And as we mentioned, just say please and thank you. The joke is if it ever takes over the world, we want to be on the good person side of it, just in case, And Tia says, I'm tweeting some of your notes. Awesome. Oh, lovely. Thank you, Tia. I appreciate that. I'm showing up on X/Twitter. Practical tips. Okay, now we're going to get into it. Okay, Tia, now you're going to see if I can work without a net live here, because I'm going to go between ChatGPT and slides. So some fast hacks for navigating ChatGPT Plus. So I'm emphasizing it's the plus. And you know what? It's already changing again. The thing is that there's new things happening all the time. Right now, there's a memory thing rolling out that I am very frustrated that I don't have yet, because they're doing it in small rollouts to both free and paid, actually. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But okay, so ready? We're going to dive in. I'm going to show you how many of you know about custom instructions? Do I need to show you custom instructions? Give me a yes if you need to see where those custom instructions are, because then I'll do a screen share. And give me a yes if you'd like to see that. I'm not doing it until I know if you need it or not. Custom instructions coming right up. Give me a yes. Okay, I got a yes. That's good enough for me. Thank you. So we're going to add my ChatGPT. Okay, so now you should be able to see my ChatGPT page. Let me pull up mine. It's like many steps here to do this for where everything is. So you'll see my mouse moving around. So one thing I want to show you right here, see there's a little teeny weeny little arrow right there. And if you're kind of wondering maybe, where are my conversations? Where are they? Well, if you go like, whoops, I'm actually clicking my screen. Yeah, Tina, right. How about we click the actual document? If you open it up like that little tiny arrow, you'll see all of your conversations. And you can close it back up. It's right here. This is the confusing part about screen sharing here. So I'm closing it just to show you how to do it, but you have to have it open, and you're gonna go to the very bottom of your ChatGPT. See my little mouse jumping around down here where my name is, where it says Tina Lorenz. Click on that. And when that opens, you're going to see Customize ChatGPT right here. And you're gonna click on that. And that'll open up your custom instructions. Now you can have the little button here will enable it for new chats, or you can turn it off. We turn it on. It's going to be for all your conversations. We call them chats or conversations that you're having with ChatGPT. And these custom instructions are for you initially, $14.99 to 15 out of 1,500 characters. It's characters, just like on LinkedIn, right? It's not words. And so if you don't know what you want to say, just hover over it and see there's a little thing right here with an eyeball that says show tips. You click on that, it's going to give you some thought starters. Where are you based? What do you do for work? That type of thing. So that kind of gets you started of, oh, okay, this is what you want to know. So I filled mine out, how long I've been online, what I do, what kind of programs I have, how I coach people one-on-one, my challenges, my beliefs, my kind of my mantras, my mission with what I'm doing. And that I'm only one character short of the 1,500, and that I believe that that this is all from divine source. And how would you like ChatGPT to respond? Again, if you click over it, you're going to see show tips, and it will also give you some ideas. Whoops, there we go. Like, how should it be formal? Should it be casual? How long or short should the responses be? And this is the most important one to me. Should it have opinions on topics or remain neutral? And I told it I wanted it to have opinions. I get feedback. What do you think about this? Analyze this for me. So when you have your custom instructions filled in, it's going to factor in all the answers. The way you have your conversations with ChatGPT, it's going to learn more and more about you specifically, and it's going to answer like that. So you'll see when I show you some examples, it's going to say, sure, Tina, let's do this. It calls me by my first name because I gave it permission to do so. And so whatever you do to it, let's just say I'm going to make a change here. You'd have to save it right there. So when you fill it out the first time, you're going to save. Okay. And that's how the custom instructions work. Now, the thing I'm waiting for, let me go back here. I am waiting impatiently. I'm going to close this out here. For underneath where your name is, the memory is what's coming. And the memory, according to OpenAI, it's going to be that you can say, remember this, and remember this, and remember this. And ChatGPT will remember this idea across conversations and weave it into all of its responses to you. On the other hand, you can also tell it, don't remember this. So if you're just having a conversation that, I don't care about you remembering how do I spell this word, or what's another word that starts with R that means this, or whatever you might be asking it, you don't need it to remember. You can tell it that. And it's going to be both in free and paid level. I think it may replace custom instructions. Now, the thing with custom instructions also, though, right now, that's what we have, but that's where it'll show up. If you're getting it, it's going to be somewhere right in here. It's going to say personalize, okay, in this square right here. So be watching for that. And the other thing that you can look at is settings right here. It may show up there, right? Or it might show up in beta. I don't know, because sometimes they surprise us. So that's the thing with all of that. And just be watching for it. Okay, so that's where custom instructions come into play. So let's move back over. And if you have questions about that, a divine source, Dorothy's saying, yeah, I believe that my inspiration comes from divine source. That's part of how I teach, right? And so let's see, I gotta go back here. Let me see if this is gonna work. Yay, it did. Okay, so yay, I did it. Let's all have a round of applause for me navigating through these two things. So it may be replaced by the new memory function, and you can update it as needed. You can go in there anytime and just change it, just like on LinkedIn when you want to change your about page. And also, if you're working with a client, what I'd recommend that if you are like copywriting for a client or something like that, or doing design work, whatever you might be doing, you might want to set up custom instructions about that client. You'd have to copy and paste yours. And this is why this is kind of clunky. And I'm pretty sure this will all change in probably over the next year, maybe sooner. But you copy and paste yours, keep it in a document, my custom instructions. And then you could put in someone else's and have it turned on so that your conversation with ChatGPT in one conversation would reflect what you have in custom instructions for your client. So there's another little tip for you. And then when you're done with that, a copy it, paste it somewhere else, client Bob's custom instructions, whatever, and go back to yours. So you'd have to just literally manually move them back and forth. But you could set up a whole entire conversation in ChatGPT with that custom instruction connection for a client, right? And that's why I say change it to use for client work. I hope that's making sense. We have to move kind of quickly here. Keeping track of conversation. So we're going to go back and take a look. I'm going to show you about a few tips for naming conventions, using emojis, how to hide them, all of those things. And yeah. Oh, that's funny. Set up custom instructions about your clients to write a lot of resumes. Yeah, that's cool. And that's funny, the name, because I have something like that in my business as well. Okay, so let's go back to ChatGPT. Okay, so now I'm going to show you about the naming conventions. I'm going to pull it over here so I don't get confused about the screens. So right now, remember I showed you the little closed sidebar. See, it says closed sidebar. And if you don't want it to show, like if you're working with a client, maybe you don't want them to see all your conversations, you can just work in ChatGPT this way. You can open it back up. So here's all the stuff. And I'm telling you, these are conversations I have with ChatGPT, and I've got a whole bunch of them that aren't even showing right now because I'm going to show you about archiving. But every time you have a conversation with ChatGPT, it's going to name the conversation, and it's going to appear in this left margin area. It says previous 7 days, yesterday. I've had some today, but I've already moved them, so they're not showing up right now. And it'll give you a name, right? And so, like, this is one for me, something I came up with that I want to be able to reference easily. So one of the things, you may not like the name ChatGPT gives it. It'll just take some of the first few words you're saying and turn it into the title. So to be able, like, I was having trouble with Slack the other day. So here's one of my conversations. So let's say I want to change the name, right? See, there's 3 little dots right there, 3 little dots. Says more. Click on the 3 little dots, and it's going to open a window that says share or rename or delete chat. So if you want to rename it, you're going to click on rename. And I had on multiple screens. I was having a problem here. So ChatGPT can help you with stuff like this. And so I'm just going to change it to manage Slack ×2. Okay, I'm changing the name, and I want to be able to find it. So at the very beginning, I'm going to pop in, just for my own use, this is just a little tip that can help you. I'm going to pop in an emoji right there. Okay, and then all you have to do is hit return, and now it's renaming it. It'll rename it momentarily here. Hasn't done it yet. There we go. And so now it has a new name with an emoji, manage Slack ×2, right? So now this is what you can do with any of your conversations. So you see some of mine have emojis because I wanted to be able to find them again. Like I designed a hummingbird, right? And I want, there it is. I had 4 hummingbirds and I wanted to be able to find them again. And we'll talk about Dolly 3 before we're done here today. But so that's, so I can find it easily. Now there's another new feature that is new, and it's called archiving. I think it's on a slide, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. So let's just say, let's see, where am I? Okay, this one. I was talking about the cost of lost opportunity. Next to those 3 dots, see this little tiny file drawer? That's pretty new. It's only been in the last few weeks, maybe a month, I don't know. But it says archive when you hover over it. So if you click on it, it's going, instead of having all these conversations, see, it just disappeared because it just archived it. Okay, great. Where did it go? So if you archive your conversation, go all the way back down to your name at the bottom left. I know I'm moving fast here. And then go to your settings, right? And when you go to settings, you're going to see this now. Archive chats right here. Archive all chats. No, that's not happening. I don't want to do that. And I don't want to delete any of them. And so archive chats. Then you click on the button that says manage. And it's going to show, see, I just moved that COI expanded. I just moved it as an example. Here's today. It was when I created it, not today's day, but when I created it. And here you can unarchive it, move it back into your left-hand border with all your names if you want to have it there all the time, or you can put it in the trash. You can delete the conversation. So if you want to unarchive the thing I just archived, I'm going to click on that. Disappears here, right? Now it just disappeared. And we're going to close all that. And we're going to go back up here. And there it is. Here it is right here. COI expanded. So I archived it, showed you where it was archived, unarchived it, and it went to the top of the list. So when you unarchive, it's going to go to the top of the list. Like you can use it right away. And if I wanted to rename it, I'd click on the 3 dots. And I'll talk about sharing in a minute. I'm not going to do that right now. If I wanted to archive it again, I'll do that now. Just click on archive. And we're going to wait a little second here, and it's gone because it just got archived. So I hope that's helpful to you also, because you can get, as you can see, a whole, whoops, no, don't remove, there we go. Okay. Oh, I see what I'm doing. Don't mind me a minute while I, there we go. All right, cool. Okay. So I hope that's making sense, and that brilliant stuff. Thank you. Helpful. Good. And, let's see. Be sure you put a Q on your question, Teresa, so I can answer it at the end. I'm not going to stop right here because we'll never get through it because I've got a lot more to show you. So that's keeping track of conversations. Everybody got that? Keeping track of your conversations. I just went ahead of myself and I showed you the archiving. So it cuts down on the clutter. You saw how easy and fast it was. We already took a look because I knew I had a slide for it, but I thought I'm right here. I'm just going to go ahead and show you. And it is relatively new. And they don't go like, oh, hey, there's a new thing, archiving. You have to just keep an eye on your ChatGPT and say, is there something new showing up here? Is something happening here that's different than it used to be? You can also check out OpenAI's site in general, because they will tell you what they're working on, what's coming, we're rolling this out. And so that's why I'm waiting for memory. It's like, ChatGPT, I use you all the time. Why didn't I get it right away? Kind of taking it personally right this minute. But that's where you'll see what's coming. Now, what I can't show you here is my phone, because if you have an iPhone 14 or 15, you can use it as a camera on your computer. And it's called a continuity camera. It's a feature on the newer iPhones. And so I use mine as my camera. And so I can't take it down and show you, but you can get the app for ChatGPT. It's free. Put it on your phone. And when you have it on your phone, the other thing ChatGPT can do is see and hear and talk. Doesn't do it on desktop yet. I'm always going to say yet, because things can happen so fast. But if you have your phone and you click on and you talk to it, there's a button you press and there's like a pulsating white button while you're talking to it. And then it turns it into text. And there's 5 or 6 voices. I can't remember exactly. I think it's 5 or 6, at least 5. And you can choose sort of a non-specific male sounding, female sounding. They have voices like names like Sage and Spring, that aren't gender specific. I have one that sounds woman-like. And so you click it and it will talk back to you. It will answer you with voice if you choose to have it answer you audibly. The really cool thing is that when you use your phone, it turns the voice message that you gave it turns into text. You have the conversation. When you come back to your desktop, the conversation will be there as well. It moves it into your ChatGPT account, right? And I'm getting a comment that, yeah, it can be challenging. They got a lot of things going on there with how to take care of all that, because yeah, it's a lot. And you might want to even you could keep a library. I'm not that organized, I got to tell you. I just am not. I just kind of remember and I go look. But you could be like tracking a journal, really, of your prompts and what worked the best and what you liked about it. I mean, if you're that kind of organized, maybe you have spreadsheets. That's not me. Maybe you're an Excel spreadsheet person. You can set up a system for yourself so that you can find all your stuff and cross-reference. You can get super fancy if you want. So now we're going to talk about how do you have what does this have to do with having a freedom lifestyle business, right? And so we're going to have a little bit of fun here, because I'm going to show you some prompts. And now when we talk about prompts, I do give my students, people that work with me and people I coach, I definitely give them prompts, and we have a whole prompt library in my programs of how you start writing out a whole entire sales letter. There's a lot of pieces that go to this that we're not going to get able to go all into that today. But think of a ChatGPT responses like building blocks. And it used to be you had to go in really small blocks, and then it expanded after November 6th. And so it can take as much as what's equivalent to a 300-page book. Actually, it can process that level of text that you're feeding to it, or conversation that you're having. One of the big tips I want to give you here is stay in the same chat, the same conversation. So because it has enough memory now to do that, you don't have to go back and remind it all the time of what you were talking about. But if you start a new conversation, a new chat with ChatGPT on the same topic, right now, I don't know how the memory part's going to work because I don't have it yet. But right now, it doesn't cross-reference. Oh yeah, we talked about that last week on the chat that you did over here. It's not going to do that. But it will continue the conversation. You may get a very long thread eventually of a continuous conversation. So like example, if you're working with a client, you want that continuous conversation because you don't want to have to go back and tell it everything all over again. That kind of gets into GPTs, which I'll mention just briefly in a minute. Because GPTs are really like little soldiers, little helpers, little robots that you create that are more like a gathering place for a really big prompt, so you don't have to say them all the time. Because there is, the context for ChatGPT, you do have to do your homework. You have to get things ready for it. You can't just say, write me a sales letter. Okay, bye. I'll be back this afternoon and see what you did. It doesn't work like that. We still have to do the work ourselves to get it ready for ChatGPT, but there's a lot of streamlining we can do. So what does it mean to work part-time from anywhere, and why does ChatGPT figure into this? Working faster, compressing time, portable, work from anywhere, have an internet connection, even do some of it on your phone now. So I thought, just for fun, let's do a prompt, right? So I wrote out a few prompts before our little moment here, and I'm going to show them to you. So I wrote them out ahead of time, because otherwise it's just like, oh my gosh, no, it will take so long. So first of all, let me get my ChatGPT organized, because we're going to copy and paste. And so when you have a good prompt, and we're going to go up here, we want a new conversation, just click there. We're in ChatGPT 4, brand new conversation. This is what it looks like in the plus, and see the little drop down right there. You can use 3.5 if you don't want to gobble up your time, your 40 messages in 3 hours. I have been put in timeout by ChatGPT many times, I have to tell you. And plugins is something that's going away, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. Plugins are being replaced in this next month by GPTs, and so it's phasing out, which I was kind of sad about, because I use them all the time. But that's just one of the changes, And so they're going to transfer into GPTs instead. But for right now, let's talk about freedom lifestyle, right? So I wrote out a prompt this morning. And all this stuff, it doesn't have to take a long time. So here's your conversation down here in the bottom if you're new to ChatGPT, right down here in this space. So here's my prompt. Please list 5 specific ways using ChatGPT in my online marketing messaging can create a freedom lifestyle business for me. My goal is to work less and make more money while serving my target audience at the highest level. So I thought, just for fun, let's do a prompt and see what we get about that lifestyle freedom. Let's see how fast ChatGPT works, and we're off and running. And as I said, it will call me Tina because I told it to. Absolutely, it can be a game changer. I always tell, don't say game changer in things we're doing, because it says it too often. For creating a more efficient, productive, and ultimately freedom-focused business, here's how it can specifically benefit your online messaging. And so I love how it organizes like this. It's numbered. We got the bolded content creation acceleration. 2, personalization at scale. 3, 24/7 customer service automation. 5, market research and insights gathering. That was 4. 5, optimization and A/B testing. And by integrating ChatGPT into these aspects of your marketing, you're not just working smarter, rather you're working smarter, not harder, and creating a business that supports your lifestyle goals. So this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about with ChatGPT. Just get some ideas. Maybe you're not going to like all of them. Maybe you're going to say, well, I don't really want to do A/B testing. That sounds scary. I don't know how to do it. I need somebody to do that for me. Fine. Pick the one that you do use. How about personalization at scale? One key to serving your target audience at the highest level is personalization. ChatGPT can analyze customer data, create personalized messaging. So there are just so many things. And so, for example, I'm going to talk about a thing called prompt stacking. And you can do this, just wing it as you go. Let's say content creation acceleration. Okay, let's say, hey, I like that one. Hey, I like number 1. Can you please tell me more with more specifics? And though I'd love to play with this all day, we have to move along, but I wanted to show you. So I'm saying, okay, I like that one. So whatever you get from ChatGPT, go further, go deeper, go another level, ask it more. If there's something that you're like, well, I want to know more about that one. So here we go. Let's dive deeper. Email marketing campaigns, drafting, personalization, blog posts and articles, idea generation, outline creation, writing and editing, social media content. See what I mean? Okay. You can just keep going. And ChatGPT will help you learn. It will teach you. It will clarify for you. It will give you more ideas. So maybe when you're looking at this, and look at this, it's still going, right? Efficiency tips, batch content creation. Oh, what if you said, that sounds interesting. How would I do that? Tell me more about batching content creation. And see what it says. Okay, you found one that you liked, and let's go. All right, what's batching? And here ChatGPT is on a roll. It's going to tell you all about it, what it is, why it works, what's cool about it, and just going a million miles an hour here. Implementing batching with ChatGPT, going to tell you how to do that. I've got a lot of this stuff in my programs of how you create content calendars, all these things. But do you see what I mean? Do I get any wows here? Is anybody here going, oh my gosh, I just want to know somebody's getting their mind blown while we're doing it. It's still running. I'm talking and it's going. And it's just like awesome, right? And so let's just say, okay, I know this is on one of my other slides, but let's just do it now. Let's say, oh my gosh, this is all so amazing. I want to send it to my coach. I want to send it to one of my students. I want to do something with this. I want to make something else out of it. See this little arrow right here, this little up arrow. You click on that. And this entire conversation that I just had, there it is. It's all there in the box, right? All you have to do on this green square right here, green rectangle, is copy the link. Boom, you've got it. And it's just like a giant screenshot. You can send that with an email address, whatever. I could put it in the chat and you'll all can see it. That's how it works. You can just send it to anybody. They don't see the rest of your ChatGPT. They don't see any of your conversations. You are not going to interact with them in it. It is not live conversation. Just think of it as a giant screenshot, right, of what you've got. But is that a good tip? Come on now. Let me know if you're getting some cool tips here that you hadn't heard before. And I will answer questions at the end, but this is why it compresses time, right? You don't have to go, okay, let's go get an email address and I got to write an email and I got to do this and I got to copy this and then think how you could turn this into a report. I'm going to talk about that a little more, like with consulting, for example. So fast and easy research. You can leverage AI for more insights. Oh my gosh, the research part. When I first started copywriting, I always think of when the first time I wrote a financial letter. It was about Forex. You could have taken what I knew about Forex and written it on the head of the proverbial pin, right? Nothing. I knew nothing. And I was going to write this big, monstrous letter that also tied into Fibonacci, right? Fibonacci curves. That was my other head of the pin. Knew nothing about that either, right? And here I'm writing this expensive sales letter. I must have spent weeks trying to figure out what the heck and how to put it all together. It turned out being a huge blockbuster. It was online for over 10 years, but I really hated doing all the research, and I was kind of lost. Like, how do I get started? Am I getting the right stuff? You know, all these things. I could have done that research like in an hour or an afternoon at the most with ChatGPT, right? And that's that. That is so huge. And this is, if you're writing copy or creating content, this is the time compressor. Because instead of having to like wander all over the world, go to .gov for this and somewhere else for that, and Mayo Clinic for something else, you know, online, it can compress it all into a way to do it really, really fast. And there's GPTs that will help you do that. I'll show you in just a sec. So minutes and hours instead of weeks. And check and do check. Sometimes there's hallucinations. If you're overwhelmed, you know, don't always think it's absolutely 100% no matter what. You might want to go take a look, say, yeah, that's a real source. And I have not had a problem. I'm just going to say I've not had a problem with it at all. I had one day, I can't remember what was happening. I'd been asking a lot of stuff. It was months ago, but it sort of started telling me these weird answers that were like, where did that come from? I think I've had maybe one experience where it was like, something's broken. You know, something's not working right this second. In seriousness, you can't break ChatGPT. You're not going to break it. But there might be some moments where it kind of wanders off. Turn weeks into hours? Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely do that. So let's see. I did another prompt for this. So want to see another prompt? Tell me yes. I want to see another prompt. I want to see how it works. I want to see how fast it can go. And boy, I do have to go fast because we're already this far in. But I'm going to show you anyway. I'm just going to be bold. I'm going to show you anyway. So now we're going to take my ChatGPT and we're going to go a new conversation there. And we're going to just do one little shot of fast research. It's just really simple, but I just want to show you, for example, we're going to put in a prompt right here, and it's list 10 places online and offline where the target audience of entrepreneurs who are over 45 who are interested in bespoke high-ticket one-on-one marketing and mindset coaching might be hanging out. That's basically the prompt, right? Let's see. And I did it all in caps just so it'd be easier to read, not because I'm yelling it at you. And so let's just do some research. Let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. And here we go. Online spaces. LinkedIn. Woohoo! Number 1, mastermind groups, online forums, Facebook groups, webinars and virtual conferences, offline spaces, networking events, conferences and workshops, private clubs and business lounges, book clubs and discussion groups, retreats and mastermind weekends. Do you think you could get some new ideas just by asking this one simple thing? And look, it's still talking. It's still talking. I can talk at the same time ChatGPT does. Do you see that? Look at that. Would that give you some ideas? That's the simplest prompt ever. I just wrote it in 2 minutes, less than that, just to see what will we get? What will we get? And don't be afraid to experiment with ChatGPT, right? That's the thing. See what you get. See if you get some new ideas. Maybe there's something that you never would have thought of, whatever you're asking it, right? And so that's just again a very, very simple example of what it could be like to do some research. And you can get much more in-depth than that. I'm afraid I'm not going to have time to show you everything in this action-packed hour here. But high-value consulting, paid consultations for the win. I teach how to get paid twice, right? And so if you're dealing with a client, and in copywriting, marketing strategy, coaching, whatever, you have a free consultation, you have an initial consultation, and a lot of times you really actually need more, and they need more to make a decision about the bigger project. So you then repackage what you're doing into a fee-based consultation, going to work with them on that. They're going to pay in advance. You're going to have that meeting. You're going to do your homework, and you're going to use ChatGPT to help you with various prompts that you're going to explore what you're going to give to them. And that's how you can do the prompt stacking. Prompt stacking is asking one thing, getting an answer, asking another thing, and it may be spur of the moment, or you may literally have a plan. I have like a 4-prompt strategy for going very deeply into who your avatar is. And when we say avatar, we mean your ideal client. So it's ask this question, then ChatGPT will answer, then ask that question that's drawing on that answer to answer that one. And you're stacking them. So they're like 4 prompts in a row that are very specific, that each one draws on the answer ChatGPT just gave you, and it's processing that to continue the answers. And so that's how you're going to go deeper into that deep intel, that stealth kind of surveillance of whatever it is you're looking at, and you can get instant reports and shares. That's why I showed you the share, because it could be as simple as I will share this entire conversation with you. Like I have a thing I do for big business blueprint kind of a deal. It can take an hour to an hour and a half, and I can share the whole entire thing with the client. We work together in ChatGPT. I do critiques in my AI accelerated entrepreneur mentoring. And some of you there's a few of you on this call. Don't know everybody on the call, but I see a few names that are popping up that I can see right now, and that you've experienced how I do these critiques, because I do it first. I go to ChatGPT and say, okay, here's what I'm seeing. What do you see? I give them the copy to look at, and we continue working together live sometimes, or it's recorded and I share it then, of how we had that conversation and went deeper and deeper, asking things that maybe weren't even expected. It gets very organic is what happens. It gets very organic. And that way you can also share that. And I'm going to ask, I'm so tempted to start answering questions, but I want to get through all of this because I want to show you a monster prompt, okay? Just so you can see what the heck it can do, because it's pretty darn amazing. So this would be one more like if you were going to be doing consulting, that type of thing. This is also the kind of prompt that could be built into a GPT. Now, a GPT, like I said, there's a whole process to do it. And it's like gathering bigger prompts all together into one place, so you don't have to ask all the things every time. It'll start filling in the gaps, and that's taking the place of the plugins that we used to have to go searching onto the internet with a plugin, for example. So I'm going to share a really monstrous prompt here. I've already got it copied and pasted, but just to show you how amazing this can be. So this is a huge long prompt. And I can't explain the whole thing now, except that you're going to fill in your niche and your avatar. You're giving the instructions. There's a whole set of instructions happening here for GPT. Can be a GPT. And so the niche is entrepreneurship. Here's the part you really need to know. The niche is entrepreneurship. The avatar is accomplished men and women over 50. Our primary goal is we want the primary goal, we want secondary goal, their complaints, the promises, the benefits, the objections, the ultimate fear. This is all built into the prompt. And then I tell it, act as if you are a professional direct response copywriter who loves to use visceral, real life, dimensional language and has decades, made a mistake, but it'll understand, has decades of experience in the psychology of success. I want to see and feel the results. Use real world examples and context while being as conversational as possible with short sentences, short paragraphs, then complete search 1 using the niche and the avatar. So these are instructions. These are instructions for ChatGPT above as your foundation. Okay, I know it's long, but I just want to show you what we're going to get. And you're going to get a different answer every time. You're never going to get exactly the same answer from ChatGPT. So if you get one and you love it, be sure you copy it or save it, because if you ask it again, you're going to get something different. It's going to change it. And so here's how it's answering. The niche is entrepreneurship, the avatar, accomplished men and women, the primary goal. And here we go. Look what it's doing. Look at what the intel it's giving us. We're not going to have time to read the whole thing, but it's broken it down based on the instructions of this prompt. Secondary complaints, the promises. Offer them a bridge to the modern entrepreneurial world that respects their wisdom while updating their toolkit with the latest in digital strategy. I mean, it's just giving me a whole way to communicate with the niche of entrepreneurs over the age of 50 that have experience, that are experienced professionals. And look at the length of the answer here. It broke down their primary complaint. A common frustration is finding opportunities that respect their depth of experience and don't treat them as if they're past their prime. They're tired of being overlooked for being too experienced or not tech savvy enough. Can anyone relate to that right there? Anybody relate to that? If you're in that age category and you have experience, have you ever felt that? Okay, Royce is saying absolutely. Their secondary goal, this group, many in this group are looking for mentorship opportunities where they can guide younger entrepreneurs, sharing their wisdom and learning new trends in return. They're also interested in balancing life and work more harmoniously, having spent decades in high pressure roles. And then we have a secondary complaint. So it's following my directions of this prompt. See how long it is, right? And so you can turn all of this into copy. You can turn all of this into part of your messaging. Are you getting that? That this isn't just like a parlor, a party game or something. This is like, oh my gosh, look what we can do. Look what we can do. And facts, Lacey said. So the real you amplified. Not going to have time to do this because I want to answer your questions also, but you can train ChatGPT to sound like you. And so you're going to write a prompt that basically is, I'm going to give you some of my writing. I want you to analyze it, give me feedback on it. I want you to learn my voice. You just write what you want it to do. And I don't have a prompt to share with you on that right this second. I have them, but not time to do that today. And then see what it gives you. And then you can go back to it and say refine, and then you're going to refine the output. So if you're having it write something for you, like one of the ways I do this for cadence and content creation will be, okay, I have an idea. I might have an image that's going with it. I'm giving it the image saying, this is what we're working with for a social post. And I just free write. I want to get across these points. And I just write. It's not organized. It's not pretty. It's not edited. It's more like, writing to ChatGPT. Here's the points some of the points I want to include in this. Then it will say, absolutely, Tina. Boom. It's writing a post for me. It's saying how long I want it, where I'm putting it, why I'm using it. It gives me an answer. I go back and say, yeah, well, that's not bad, but this, and this I want to add to it. Then if I kind of like what I got, copy and paste it, work on it, infuse myself right into that. It's going to be like at least 20% you more gets added, at least that. And then I give it back to ChatGPT and say, now analyze, this is what I did with it. And I get the feedback again. It's like 5 steps or so. But all those 5 steps, it took like 15 minutes or less, right? It didn't take 2 hours to write the social post. It took a few minutes, right? And so it's really remarkable. But you need to add yourself to the mix so you don't just sound like this robotic language. And it can really hit it out of the park with some of it and the other parts that you're going to add to it. So creativity unleashed. Well, I couldn't go without at least doing this one thing, because one of the things we've got in ChatGPT 4 now is DALL-E 3, and think of Hello Dolly, right? It's named after Salvador Dali and Pixar's WALL-E, right? So it's kind of a hybrid of DALL-E 3, and it's not perfect, but it is pretty fun, and it makes images, right? And so, well, I'll tell you right off the bat as I'm copying this post this prompt I already had. I know I'm going so fast here, but don't try to get it to write anything in it. You will be so sorry. It'll look like Russian or some other hieroglyphics or something. So if you're going to put words on an image that it makes, just use Canva or some of the other editing tools. Leave a space where the words can go later. Tell it to leave a space where there's going to be words later, because it'll mess them up. and it won't repeat the graphic. You can say, well, I like that, except take those words out and say, okay, and it'll make a new graphic. And so if you really liked what you got, so here we go. Oops, I got it. Oh, darn it. I was already running. Please make a vivid, colorful, cartoon-like image, including a fluffy whiteboard doodle. We have more doodles, border collie poodles, with a sweet face, a book, and a Southwest-style fireplace for a social media post. So just for fun, right? And so this is DALL-E 3. It's automatically going there because it's built into ChatGPT 4. So you see where it's turning the little purple circle, and it looks like a purple mountain. Okay, there we go. There's the first one. Look how fun. And look how cute that is, right? And I got my Southwest fireplace because we live in Tucson, a bordoodle with a book, right? And so then it's like, okay, that's very cute, but what if I wanted it to be another one? Now, it's not going to be the same image. You got to remember, it's not going to give you the same image twice. And so, but you can say, give me another version. And so I'm saying, that's very cute. Now let's make one that's more realistic, but still colorful. Let's see what we get. And here we go. And I do this all the time. I make images for my posts on LinkedIn. I've done them for my newsletter. I use them on Facebook. I have some on Instagram. I've done stuff, and it gets pretty close to what our dogs look like. If I give it a little more explanation than this, ours are a little wider than this one. But so it's creating the image. So we're tick, 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 right? We're just waiting while it's creating the image. See right here. Whoops, here I go again. I'm actually doing that on the screen where you can't see it. There we go. So here's this one actually looks way more like our dog. So this one is the more realistic image. And these, look how fast we got those. And you can save these. You can vote on them. You can download them. There's a little arrow here, but when you download it, it does it in this other way. I won't bother to show it to you right now, but it's a sort of advanced category of programming that I found really frustrating to try and change into what could be interpreted into a PNG or whatever for LinkedIn. So I just do a screenshot of it and save it as a photo. And then it's in my downloads and I can use it whenever I want. It is good at doing things like a fancy number, like you want the number 2 and you want it to be sparkly and just, it's all done with writing, right? It's all done with writing. How many of you like the dogs? Do you think they're cute? I think they're really cute. And I think it's fun to play with it. It's really fun to play with the images. And that's just one layer of creativity unleashed, right? And then again, authentic voice echo. I'm sorry, we don't even have time for the YouTube hack to show you. I'll just tell you that if you have something on YouTube and you go to it and you click on the transcript, there'll be a button for transcript. It'll open up on the right-hand side. You can copy your whole transcript of your video, make it into a document, give it to ChatGPT, say, make me 3 social posts from this transcript. You have your own stuff. Now, there's ways you can be kind of borrowing ideas from other people. I don't really go into that because I think there's kind of a blurry line about how far you go with some of this stuff. But for your own stuff, or take something that a video you've done, like I have tons of videos, give it the video to analyze and say, I would like to have a written post to go with this. I would like to have one for this and one for that. There's all kinds of ways to do this where you get like 9 things made at the same time from one piece of content. And again, I apologize, I don't have time to show you the YouTube hack, but it's something, if you're doing anything with YouTube at all, you can do that. Or if you have other videos that you're using, but also if you just have other written content that you've done, you just give it the document and say, this is what I wrote about X, Y, and Z. I want to turn it into something for LinkedIn and a shorter post for Facebook and a couple of one-liners, and will you draw some quotes out of it or analyze it and tell me the most important parts? There's so many ways. I knew I was going to drive myself crazy today because there's so much that I want to be able to teach you about this that we just don't have time.